Rebecca, thank you. The North Florida Gun Show is getting underway right now in Jacksonville. In fact, the show opened up to the public just minutes ago, and gun vendors are expecting record sales during the show.
This is the first gun show in our area since President Obama's executive order to tighten gun regulations. His plan calls for expansion and background checks for buyers. Part of it's actually designed to address the gun show loophole. It clarifies who is or isn't in the business of selling guns. The plan also adds new federal agents to strengthen the background check process. And it integrates federal mental health records into background checks.
Channel 4's Crystal Moyer is live from Jacksonville Fairgrounds. Crystal, what's happening there now?
Marcus and Ashley, doors have just opened for this gun show. Matter of fact, the line outside the door, you can see behind me, people are already starting to make their purchases. I spoke to the marketing director of the gun show, and he says the retailers are not concerned about how sales were going. In fact, following President Obama's executive orders on gun control, he expects this place to be busier than ever.
The phones ring off the hook. It's everybody wants to be here.
Skip Gwynn, director of marketing for the gun show, says they've scaled back on advertising because there's already so much hype about the gun show, especially after President Obama announced nearly 24 executive orders with a focus on background checks and increased funding for mental health services.
The people that are pro-gun are worried that they're going to lose their rights.
Right now, there are about 1.5 million active concealed weapons permits in Florida, 77% held by men, the other 23% women. That's according to the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. Americans across the country spent nearly $6 billion on firearms last year, and sales this year are expected to increase. But there are people who say access is the problem and there needs to be more gun control. The rise in mass shootings has some legislators pushing for tighter gun regulations, especially when it comes to private gun sales and what they consider to be loopholes in the current law.
In addition to what President Obama is doing, is also change the mindset that people need to have guns, because there are so many loopholes that other people are out there buying guns that shouldn't have guns.
It doesn't make sense to have laws if you're going to have loopholes that negate the laws. And what the president did is a matter of common sense. He said that if you can't walk into a Walmart if you're a convicted felon and buy a gun, why should you be able to do that anywhere else?
Gwynn agrees there should be laws and thorough background checks when it comes to gun control, but says gun shows are not to blame.
The reality is bad people are going to get guns, and they're not going to buy them cheap.
Gwynn says ATF officers will be on site to monitor gun sales. They've also petitioned FDLE to check private sellers to keep guns from falling in the wrong hands.
We don't want bad guys in here. That's why we have such a good police presence, that everybody sees the first person they meet when they come to one of our shows is the police.
Now the director of marketing says he just hopes everyone has a safe and fun time here at the gun show. He says they're doing all they can. ATF, matter of fact, right beside me, just monitoring everyone, and of course the gun sales. This gun show will run through 5 o'clock today. It actually goes through Sunday too. So for more information on ticketing and hours on this gun show, you can head to our website, newsforjax.com. Reporting live, Crystal Moyer, Channel 4, the local station.
You heard from Representative Alan Grayson and Crystal's story. He's on This Week in Jacksonville tomorrow with Kent Justice. You can see his full interview on the president's gun control plan at 9 a.m.